Hi, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 26 of the Kool Movies Podcast, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Leo Wakil. How you doing, sir?
Good, sir, and you?
All right, doing good too. And so today we got a couple of things to talk about. We're going to try and split this up in a few different sections. So we got to talk about obsession. We got to talk about backrooms, and you have been a diligent film student and catching up on some of the great filmmakers. This time it's James Cameron,
Yeah.
who I grew up with. And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts about what you thought of a lot of the movies that you've seen so far. Because you haven't seen all of them, right?
No, I still have to see The Abyss and
Mhm.
the other Schwarzenegger movie. I forgot the name.
True Lies.
True Lies. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just get started with the new phenomenon that I'm loving right now, like YouTubers making movies.
Yeah.
So with Obsession, we got Mr. Curry Barker who's doing this. Let's start with your thoughts on Obsession.
Yeah. So I think for what I've heard online about Obsession, I probably like it a little less than most people.
Okay.
But starting with the positives, Inde Navarrette. She is brilliant. Like truly, just the shift that you get from her from the first 15 minutes on, it's insane. She steals the movie. I also think that Michael Johnston, I think is his name, right?
Yeah.
Also the protagonist. He's really good, and I think it works really well as an atmospheric horror movie. Because you have the relationship between those two inside their home, and you have Bear, the protagonist, dealing with everything that went on in his home outside when he's talking to his friend, when he's going to work, going to parties. And yeah, that's kind of where my praise ends because I think it's just a well done horror movie. It has the spooks, it has good scares, it's well shot. It's a little too dark, I think, but it works because it's trying to hide her in some shots, but it works well for me. Where I think it doesn't work as much is that I think it's extremely repetitive. I really felt like I knew where this was going from the first 20 minutes. Because for me, every time a scene ended, I knew how the next scene would be. She would do crazy stuff, he would freak out and leave the house. And that's basically what the movie is, repeated like 5 or 6 times, which is great because she is amazing and it's a well done movie and everything. But it got a little superficial for me. It kind of became just scaring the audience just for the sake of scaring them, just to have a thrill, not anything much, anything more, you know. And I also thought the lore could have been a little more explored. That's a pitfall many horror movies fall. Like I also saw Hokum, a new horror movie with Adam Scott, which also like I think it's better than Obsession, but it also falls a little bit on that fault of not exploring the lore as much. And that's something I feel like some other horror movies from this decade specifically, like Smile, Longlegs, those are horror movies that go deep into what it all means, It doesn't need to explain everything, but it needs to go a layer deeper for me, which this movie also almost did in that phone call scene in the car where the
Mhm.
director Curry Barker picks up. I thought that was a great scene, but if that scene led us somewhere else, diverging from the repetitive path, I think that would be more cool, cooler. But yeah, I think the ending is again spooky, expected, but I had a nice time. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
I gave it a little bit more of a higher rating. Out of 10, I gave it an 8.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, I can see some of the criticisms that you pointed out. They didn't affect me as much. I thought the repetitive aspect of it really spoke more to the character flaws of Bear. Because like as amazing as Indy Navarrette is, and I agree with you, she absolutely steals the show. Uh, her flexibility to go from normal to not normal, and just absolutely insane and creepy and uncomfortable and unnerving and all of that jazz. Very, very well done. You know, I think she's definitely like a star in the making. And I think, you know, some of the criticisms that I've read is that has how much of this movie is like treating India Navarrette's character, treating her, Nikki, you know, just like some possession, you know, and so it's like again kind of like playing down women in some ways. I understand where they're coming from. I actually see it from another perspective. I see it as an indictment of male characters like Bear.
I completely agree with you.
That it was like because like having kind of been in that kind of state in my life where it's I am very hesitant and nervous to talk to girls and like the rejection. I don't know what to say to her and how's this going to affect. Like you create so many narratives in your head about what's going to happen if it goes wrong, that you kind of talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And so I really connected with that part of Bear. Like I remember that in that internal dialogue, you know, and then like you said, how he'll go crazy, he'll leave the house, he'll come back, she'll go crazy, he'll leave the house, he'll come back, just the pattern being repeated over and over again. And to me, what I felt watching that was just more evidence of how weak the character of Bear is. Like he's such a weak guy, you know, which is why he needed the one wish willow to begin with, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let me look for this easy way out, you know, to get what I want instead of like putting in the work. Like, let me become a cool guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me like
Very much the incel culture, you know, that
exactly,
adolescents, for example, explores. Yeah.
exactly. It's like, hey, you know, instead of like, you know, creating a vision for my life and then putting in the work to make that vision happen, you know, like, you know, whatever skills you need to acquire to get to this point in life. And then I will be the kind of man that will attract a girl like Nikki. No, I'm just gonna buy this token
Yeah.
novelty toy and then everything will happen. You know, it was like I think what Curry Barker did so well with the character of Bear is like really continuously made him likable. And at certain times, you kind of feel bad for him,
Yeah.
you know, especially in the phone call scene. Like when he finds out, and this is in the trailer, so we're not spoiling anything. But when when he's on the call and, you know, Curry Barker as the voice says, yeah, the wishes only ended when one of you dies. And it's like, oh, Christ. Oh, poor guy, you know? But then you also think, oh, poor Nikki. Like this girl,
Yeah.
like she's just been like, you know, roped into all of this unbeknownst to her. And yeah, but, you know,
And he knows like that she is kind of behind that mask possession, you know. She is
mhm,
suffering more than him and he knows it. And
yeah.
that's kind of where the social commentary comes clearly for me.
Right. And then there's even more like disdain for the
Yeah.
character Bear. Like, you know, you're doing this. You know what I mean? But it's like, what can I do? You know? You know, so but I thought as a you know, it kind of has its flaws. The darkness didn't affect me as much, like how dark the lighting is, because I thought it added a lot to the atmosphere of it. And so I thought that was well done. Um, I didn't really care for the lore, to be honest. It's like set up the rules. Let me see what they are. I wasn't too interested in a deep dive in the lore, to be very honest with you. It's like I could care less. I
Mhm.
just cared about these two characters and how everything is going to be resolved in the end.
Yeah.
You know, so as a first time out for Mr. Curry Barker, it's like kudos to you, sir. Very well done, you know, and especially in the fact that it's in the horror movie genre, because you know, I've said this to you ad nauseum, like I'm not a horror movie guy.
No.
I could give a shit about horror movies, you know,
Yeah.
but the ones that pop up on my radar, it's like, okay, like you're going somewhere. Like I don't feel the same way about it as I felt about Weapons, because like Weapons is just, in a level on its own, on a very, very different level, but it's Obsession still broke through, so it's in that initial level of my consciousness,
Yeah, yeah. You
uh,
approve.
of my purview,
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, all right, you're doing things, it was like, okay, I can see where you're going with as far as like the repetition of the scenarios, but I'm like this, as like I said, the first time out. So like the first time out, it's always gonna like suck, but this one did not suck. I thought it was really, really good. So now I'm even more curious about the kind of stories and how he's gonna put it all together going forward.
Yeah, he's been hired for a chainsaw, like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie or show. I don't know.
I probably won't watch that. You know, I don't, because like here we're going off on a bit of a tangent here, but now that you've told me that, now I'm feeling a certain kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't like it. Not, I understand why Hollywood does this. I just wish that people wouldn't take the bait, where it's
It's the
like,
Chloe Zhao treatment, right?
exactly. It's
Yeah,
the Chloe Zhao, it's the Mark Forster. I don't know if you ever heard of that guy
I
before.
know the name. I don't know the.
He did the movie Monsters Ball that got Halle Berry her Oscar. And then the next thing you know, he's doing the second Daniel Craig James Bond movie. And then he did a good job with World War Z. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I've seen that one. I know
So
the guy. I know. Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
he's a good director, but it's like, do you? You know what I mean? Do what you want to do. Like to
Yeah.
me, the absolute template as far as how to approach what projects to do is Quentin Tarantino. Because I'm
I
sure after Reservoir Dogs, he just got like they backed up the Brinks truck for him, and he's just like, no, I want to do this thing.
yeah.
I want
I
to do your thing. He
I
says it
agree.
great. He has a great quote where he's like, I don't want to make your stupid movie. I want to make my stupid movie.
Yeah.
And
I,
I just wish more directors would be like that.
I think Tarantino is like a good template for that, except for nowadays, because he is limiting himself, saying I'm gonna only do 10 movies. That's stubborn. Just you're a good filmmaker. Keep making movies. Your legacy will be richer for it. You know, if that's
I
what you
I,
want.
I understand that impetus, but again, it's like let's examine really quick somebody who's going to have a movie released very soon, Steven Spielberg.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Many, many movies. Like you can go from Jaws to now. And he's made a lot of forgettable movies.
Yeah.
You don't forget any Quentin Tarantino movie. And I think that has a lot to do with the selection of the amount of movies he's made. Because I think his whole thesis is I want every single movie I make to like have an impact. I don't
But
want to do it to do it.
But I think he still can do that without limiting himself for the number 10 movies. He can say, I will only make a movie when I feel like I have a good idea, like he's basically doing now. He's been
Mhm.
since 2019 without good ideas, apparently, because he created a movie critic script and threw it
Yeah,
away, and now he's kind of lost. He's doing Adventures of Cliff Booth. That's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
what you get when you limit yourself, for
But I
me.
kind of dig. I dig it because it's like I always thought like, why do you have to direct all of your scripts? Because the dude's writing all the time.
Yeah.
Like literally all the time, whether it's a movie, whether it's a novel, whether it's a half-baked idea. I remember seeing a podcast with Robert Rodriguez. You know who that guy
Yeah.
is? So they're really good friends, and like Robert Rodriguez talks about a time where like he went over to his house and there's just pieces of paper all over the place. And then he picks up one of them and he reads it and he's like, "What is this?" He's like, "Oh, that's just an idea that I had, and but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna take it anywhere." And Rodriguez is like this idea is better than anything I've ever made. Like I think I might keep
Just a
this,
piece of paper.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like he's constantly like doing and kind of filtering out and seeing what he connects with, you know. So I wish that there were more scripts that he would give to other directors and have them produce. You know what I mean? I really like him as a director too. I think he does really cool things. Uh, but I think he's definitely like his market is definitely like the kind of dialogue that he
Yeah,
writes.
I think that example perfectly fits with Alex Garland, because Alex Garland is a brilliant scriptwriter who was a scriptwriter for like, I don't know, 15 years, wrote
Mhm.
20 Days Later, Sunshine, a bunch of stuff. And then when he first directed was 2015, I think, Ex Machina. And he was really like in the
You was
zone because
tuned
he had
in.
that experience before, you know. And nowadays, like he does balance it. He wrote both 28 years movies, and then he directed Civil War and Warfare. So I think
Mhm.
he strikes that balance really well that maybe you're saying Tarantino should.
Yeah, I'm not should, but I think it would have been nice,
Yeah.
because I think because that the True Romance, he did with Tony Scott, and who was amazing. And then I think he was slightly put off because of the movie Natural Born Killers. Have you seen that one?
I haven't, but I know it.
Yeah, I actually like it. I like it a lot. At the same time, it's definitely not a Tarantino movie because he wrote the script. Oliver Stone bought it and then basically redid everything. So the premise is Tarantino's, which is why he gets a story credit, but it's not his script,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think that really pissed him off. He was like, "Don't you dare touch my dialogue. What is wrong with you?" You know? And so it took him until now, basically, is like, okay, David Fincher is not going to touch my dialogue. Like, we're friends and they've been, you know, I guess they've collaborated in a way that is artistically satisfying to him. So he's going to allow him to do it.
Where?
What?
Where did they work together before?
No, as far as this process, this
Ah,
movie,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, it's like, all right, cool.
Hmm.
We'll do it, you know. But I was like, couldn't couldn't you have talked to Tony Scott and let him do another one of your scripts? I don't know, but it would have been nice. But
I think I would be more excited if it wasn't like a spin-off of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If it was an original movie, I'd be more excited.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. I'm still excited because I'm always excited no matter what if it's David Fincher, even for The Killer, even though it has its down aspect of it. There's still a lot that I really enjoy about
Yeah,
David
he's still
Fincher.
David Fincher.
He's still the man.
Yeah.
He's still the man. So, and does he have anything else coming out after Cliff Booth? I don't know
I'm
if
not
he's doing
sure if
anything.
there's anything planned, but I saw today the Social Reckoning trailer, the Social Network sequel.
Bro,
It's
bro.
directed by Aaron Sorkin and written by Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
liked it. I'm not sure about Jeremy Strong as Zuckerberg, but still, I'm excited. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. We're going off on a huge tangent here, but that's fine because it's recent. Because
Yes.
I
Today.
saw the thumbnail for it, and I got goosebumps because I've been waiting for this since it was announced. And so I was like, I wasn't too keen on Jeremy Strong playing Mark Zuckerberg. I kind of wished he was gonna bring Jesse Eisenberg back, but when I heard the voice, I was like, whoa, he's got it.
Oh, he's great. He's great. Like I fully trust him. I think everything he's done, I'll leave it in his hands.
And maybe this is a hot take, but I do kind of believe he was robbed of the Oscars. As great as Kieran Culkin was,
They
I
were in the
could
same category. That's true. Both
they
Succession
were.
brothers.
And look, I thought Kieran Culkin turned in a great performance, but at the same time, it wasn't this kind of character that I wasn't unfamiliar with.
I think like since they were in the same category, I still would take Kieran Culkin. But for me, he was the lead of Oriole Plain. The movie opens and finishes with him, so he should have gone lead. And then, of course, Jeremy Strong should have won for Roy Cohn, of
Fair
course.
enough, fair enough. Yeah, he was great as Roy Cohn. Like whoa,
I
especially
didn't
like
know
somebody like me.
you
Like,
saw that movie.
say what?
I didn't know you saw The Apprentice.
Yeah, I begrudgingly watched it. I kind of didn't want to, but at the same time, I thought like I thought so. It was an interesting like perspective. It was like this is a villain origin story, and I was like, let me take it as that,
Yeah.
because like having grown up in the States, there are a lot of things that I do know. I know about the stories of Donald Trump, so I was like, let's see how they're gonna put this together because the facts of the movie are accurate, but it's the perspective,
Hmm.
that was, there was some creative license taken with that.
Yeah.
And I thought Sebastian Stan's performance was incredible.
He honestly, from that five, Adrian Brody was my least favorite.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing or absolutely Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice.
No, no, no. Ray Fiennes for Conclave.
I think I still have Sebastian Stan and Coleman Domingo, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Social Reckoning looks great. I think this is just a great choice from Mikey Madison.
Yeah.
Have this be her next movie after Honora. I liked Honora fine. I thought it was really good. I thought it was very overrated and overpraised as far as
Yeah.
a award season is concerned.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a well-made movie. It's a really good character, and she did a great performance in it. I would have given the Oscar to not Demi Moore. There was somebody else.
Fernanda Torres.
To who?
Fernanda Torres.
Fernanda Torres. Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. She got robbed from Inde
Yeah.
But it has all the tropes of a great Aaron Sorkin script. Already, I can see it. You know what I mean? I think the one thing that really shocked me really about the trailer was I did not know that Bill Burr is in the movie. You don't know who Bill Burr is?
No.
He's a stand-up comic. And he's been kind of dabbling in.
He's the guy who's trying to advise.
Yes,
Yeah,
the bald dude. And I'm always like, because Aaron Sorkin's scripts are very particular and they have to be delivered very particularly. And I'm like, oh, Bill Burr's gonna do this? Really? You know what I mean? And in some way, like, for example, with Steve Jobs' movie, which have you seen it? You still haven't seen it?
No.
Seth Rogen is in it. He plays Steve Wozniak. And it's an amazing performance by him. You do not expect it from Seth Rogen. He's just the funny guy.
Have you seen The Fablemans?
No.
Oh, you should watch The Fablemans. He is amazing in The Fablemans. Amazing.
Yeah, because I think Steve Jobs came out in 2015, I believe.
Around
And
that.
I think that was when, like, all right, I'm gonna like not just make silly comedies anymore. I'm gonna like push myself a little bit. So what he showed me in Steve Jobs I was incredibly impressed. And so it looks like, okay, you're gonna dabble in this part of acting as well. Good for you. So I was like really, really keen on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's like move
on.
Let's
pull all those threads together and move on.
Yeah. All right. Hold on 1 second.
So Backrooms.
Okay, Backrooms.
Yeah.
Backrooms. So I knew nothing of the lore. I read about it after I watched it, because I was just hearing some things of that. It was really, really, really good. And I was like, all right, let's go check this out. Again, made by YouTube, Mr. Kane Parsons. And I'm just like really pumped about YouTubers making movies. I made a video about it yesterday or Monday I did. About how like I think Hollywood is officially dead. At least in the sense of like the system of how to make movies is in my mind officially dead. Because before the system was, okay, you go to film school, you intern at a studio or a production studio or one of the big ones, if you're in LA or something, you're a production assistant, and then you slowly work your way up the ranks, maybe making short films here and there, and then somebody gives you a shot. Yeah, you don't need to do that anymore
No.
at all. Especially if you are a YouTuber with a relatively big audience. I don't know how many subscribers
Oh,
Kane
he's big.
Parsons has.
He is very.
I'm sure he's in the millions. The one that I think of is the other one that made a movie, Markiplier, who did Iron Lung,
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
which I also saw. It's good. It's good. You know what I mean? It also has other challenges because he's the only guy in the movie, basically. You know, but he has 38 million subscribers
King
and almost
Parsons has
how many?
3.32 million subscribers.
3.32. Now, imagine he releases this on YouTube and, behind a paywall. His subscribers are going to go there,
Yeah.
a bunch of them, so.
It's this
But,
kind of internet culture, right? Instead of
Yeah.
having IPs that from like classic stories or even franchises, from YouTube or from whatever
Mhm.
the place they posted the first picture was. I don't remember. It's like somewhere they posted the first picture of like
Mhm.
a back room, and then the lure started.
Yeah.
Those kind of they're internet. It's the internet. That's where these concepts and ideas are coming from, and that's where people are taking them and expanding them. And now we have a movie.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I thought. Like once I started like reading up a little bit, I didn't really like looked into any videos or anything having to do with it. But I'm like, I kept hearing that phrase, internet culture, and then I just kind of reflected for a bit. Because as the grumpy old man that I am, I'm always harping on about how culture basically died when social media and smartphones became ubiquitous. But it's not true. It's just it shifted, and
It
then now,
reinvented itself.
yeah, culture is now on the internet because that's where most people are. You know what I mean? Before culture was like, okay, like monoculture in the sense of like, we're all gonna go watch the Star Wars movie. We're all going to watch the Oscars. We're all going to, consume this music.
And look at
You
what
know?
we are. Obsession surpassed Mando and Grogu.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think like Hollywood is sleeping, and because of that, they're sleeping to their death on this thing of internet culture. Because now you can tap into these audiences that are not the traditional kinds of audiences, but will definitely show up for something like Backrooms. You know what I mean? Um, and let's talk about the movie itself so we don't get too off track. I love how, because we just talked about Obsession and how it's like kind of dark.
Yeah.
And this is the complete opposite. It's just very bright, very yellow. And like the austerity of it, like there's nothing in the rooms, and then randomly there is, furniture in the room, and maybe you see a monster or creature of some kind, you know what I mean? Um, and the fact that he also got big name actors.
That was insane. Like
Yeah,
first
like
time
you're
the
a
guy
20-year-old, bro. You're 20 years old and you got Chiwetel Ejiofor, Oscar nominated actor.
Yeah.
Renate Reinsve, Oscar nominated actress. It's like, and you got great work from them. So he's 20 years old, but he's old enough to know, like, let me not get in their way.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. I just have to take care of my part in all of this. So I was very, very impressed. I was very uncomfortable. This is not a movie I'm going to watch again.
I did. I saw it twice.
You're out of you're fucking crazy, man. No way. No way. I'm not doing that.
This one I really loved. I think I don't know something. I did research a lot. I saw like probably hours of videos about the Backrooms, trying to grasp as much as I could before I went into the project. And I think he did a great job. I think the quote that really encompasses what this movie was able to do is the dog quote, where they say the Backrooms is like describing a dog to someone who's never seen a dog and asking them to draw it. That's perfect for what this is, because there's this really uncanny valley area that Kane
Mhm.
Parsons plays around within the cinematography, within the creature design, within the production design, especially. Like
Mhm.
the videos he has on YouTube, they're made on a computer. He built that in the
Mhm.
actual movie. He had a team actually building the backrooms. And of course, like these actors that he got are insane. Like all of them are great. Renate, Reinsve, Chiwetel Ejiofor, even Lukita Maxwell, who's like I don't know, 15 minutes in the movie. She's from Shrinking, like one of my
Mhm.
favorite shows. Just seeing her in a big screen is awesome. Yeah, I just think that it works incredibly well in an exploration of the backrooms themselves, and from that it made and it's still making my mind wonder,
Mhm.
like what does this mean, where does this corner lead, those kinds of specific questions. It's very interesting because it's rare to have a movie or a show like that. I go back to Severance because even Ben Stiller, who directed many episodes of Severance, said that the Backrooms videos and liminal spaces pictures and videos in general really inspired the visual approach for Severance. Those corners you want to explore, those doors you want to open, those creatures you want to understand, the lore you want to grasp. That's this kind of stuff that really like it moves me as a film goer. That excites me.
Yeah, no,
The,
I definitely got that too. I was like, hats off to you, young man, for making this and, like whatever else you're going to be doing going forward. Cause it's just like, I was very, very impressed.
yeah,
I think also like, I think I might have mentioned this to you where it's like, because the character that Chiwetel Ejiofor plays, Clark, I believe his name is,
yeah,
like he's going through therapy, you know what I mean? And it's like, to me, it was very, very obvious that like the back rooms is a metaphor for the chaos that is going on in his mind. And how sometimes even like because I don't think this is a spoiler, but his therapist goes into the back room,
that's in the trailer. Yeah,
because yeah, because like he leaves this cryptic message on her phone, and then she goes there to kind of make sure that he's okay. And she ends up in the back rooms because like invariably it's not uncommon for a therapist to kind of like dive into the madness that their patient is feeling or going through. And so it's like, oh, this
I
is where,
didn't think about that. That's interesting. Like she enters his mind, basically, right?
yeah, because I would imagine as a therapist, you kind of do to kind of like see it with fresh eyes and then help the patient look at it from, a different perspective. You know what I mean? So it was like, oh, okay, that's really cool how he was able to like take this concept that is um it's almost at a distance. Like there's something incomprehensible about
Yeah,
the idea of the back room,
it's
but
like
connecting it with something that is very tangible. It's like, God knows how many people that watch the movie are in or have been in therapy,
yeah.
so they can kind of use that as an anchor to understand what the hell is happening in this alternate dimension.
And I think the fact that the backrooms are so ambiguous and that the film itself, like, it builds dread through atmosphere,
Hmm.
that opens up for many interpretations. Of course, there's the mental health interpretation. I also saw a lot of AI. Like, I don't know, because the backrooms are trying to basically recreate reality through memory. And there's no spoilers, but there's many visual elements, like a visual approach to character design that really reminded me of AI, especially in the beginning, where it didn't know how to draw people very well or how to create natural situations or play.
Hmm.
That's very much kind of what I felt the backrooms are doing. And these, like, it's like eerie and fascinating, because you want to explore it and understand it, but it does through that fascination, it opens up so many interpretations.
And the other thing that I liked that Kane Parsons did is use found footage in a different way. I've never been a fan of the found footage genre. I've seen a couple of videos, a couple of movies, and I think the last one I probably saw, I think it's called The Gallows. Um, it's I never took it seriously. I always thought it was kind of dumb. Um, but I think I thought that because they're using it the entire movie, and in this, the way he used it, like just sparingly, it kind of adds to the creep factor
Yeah,
of it all. So it's like, no, I'm just going to use this to continue building the mood and the atmosphere instead of necessarily progressing the story in any way.
yeah,
So I thought that was a unique way to use this technique for a different reason. So I was like, well done. Like he's like this savant chef of
yeah.
how he's putting these different ingredients to tell his story in the movie. So
Mhm.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
What is your overall rating?
I
You would
gave it
say?
a 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10. It's I
Yeah.
think my second favorite movie of the year, just
Oh,
behind the Sheep Detectives, which I strongly recommend because the name does not make it justice. It's beautiful.
mhm.
And but yeah, I love, and just closing thoughts. The third act frightened me. That was so like insane, and the ending is like it's ambiguous in the best ways, because you are unsatisfied because you want more, and that's
Yeah.
special. That's
Yeah.
rare.
Leave the audience wanting more.
Yeah, yeah, it's a rare kind of creative explosion that results in that feeling. So yeah,
Yeah.
really liked it.
Yeah. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It was
Wow.
yeah. Very, very well done for a one-off movie. Like there are a lot of one-off movies, like these are like movies like I'm never gonna watch again.
Yeah.
But in in the time, and like a lot of it also has to do with the fact that it's like, okay, this is a YouTuber making a movie, you know what I mean? And being the age that I am, I'm so used to the traditional Hollywood system that I described earlier, that when somebody completely bucks that system and does something else, like there's a little extra, praise
Yeah.
that I heap on them. So that has a lot to do with it, and the fact that he's so young as well. It's like, I remember when M. Night Shyamalan came out with Sixth Sense, like he was 28, I think. He was in his late 20s, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at this young dude, doing this really, really amazing movie. Well done, sir." And then, Kane Parsons like, "Hold my beer.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something,"
Yeah.
Uh,
And Curry Barker. I think Curry Barker's like 23.
yeah, he's a young one too.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we got some good talent coming up. You know what I mean? Because that was like one of the things that, again, another thing that I talked about in the past, where it's like, who are the young guys coming up? Who's the next Tarantino, the next Fincher, the next Spielberg? I'm not saying these guys are gonna be it, but I remember like when you delve into like film history in the 70s, the young guys were Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg and Brian De Palma and George Lucas, and they were all kind of mentored by Francis Ford Coppola. So you have all these like young dudes that will go on to become legends. And then in the 90s, you had your own like little crop of people, like including Tarantino and Kevin Smith and Richard Linklater and a couple guys. But then you didn't really hear much in like the 2000s or the 2010s.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so now it's like, hey, here are these guys. So it's like that got me a little excited.
I think I don't know why, but it reminded me a little bit of the great horror trio that really appeared this past 10 years: Ari Aster, Jordan Peele, and Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
Maybe those two can become can be part of a new wave of that trio, or that, because horror really is reinventing itself. Like
Yeah.
there haven't been as many different types of horror movies
Mhm.
like in the last decade, in the 2010s. 2020's horrors, I think it's a good path to go from.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm just hoping like other, you know, filmmakers will like come up as well, not just in the horror genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to see a great action movie director. You know what I mean? That's the one genre I think needs, some fresh blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's kind of we don't have too much time left.
Yeah.
give me your top three, or like give me the list of the
Yeah.
your rankings, and then we'll talk about the top three.
So I've seen. Let me see how many. 7 James Cameron
Yeah.
movies. So my number 7 is Avatar: The Way of Water. I think it's a good sequel, visual spectacle, but a little slight. Avatar: Fire and Ash, a bit better because of one specific sequence I love, like a breakout sequence.
Yeah.
And the action's a little better. Number 5, I have Terminator 1. Just great thriller. You asked me the genre last time you spoke. I think it's a in the end of the I think it's a thriller, really good
Yeah.
thriller. And then number 4, I have Terminator 2, Judgment Day, action movie, of course. I think it's a
Mhm.
little too long, a little tiring, but it's obviously really well done. It flips the narrative really well. And yeah, top 3. Number 3, Avatar. Number 2, Titanic, and number 1, Aliens.
All right. Okay, let's talk about Avatar because I feel the same way about all three of them. Like great visual spectacle, like it's so impressive. You know, like even like when like you see like the like the tiny waves that go up on shore, like how the water moves. You
Yeah.
don't think that all of that is fake.
Yeah.
It's all ones and zeros.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly believable, so it's like you're like a technical marvel what those movies are. Stories incredibly thin and repetitive. Like if like again, have you here, let me ask you if you've seen these two movies. Have you seen Dances with Wolves?
No, but I've seen
No.
Pocahontas
Okay.
and The Last Samurai.
And did you see The Last Samurai?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Pocahontas is the same thing.
So then you've seen Avatar.
Avatar.
So the story is incredibly thin, but I think one of the things that I do give him his props for is that like nowadays people will sacrifice story for the message, whatever it is, you know. He doesn't do it. It's obviously there. But he sacrifices depth of story and character because he's spending so much time making sure the visuals are at a certain level.
And I think that's a little bit where he faults as a filmmaker in general, because I think it's a little stubborn. Because of course you want to explore that technology you waited 10 years to pioneer. But there's a difference between doing that and doing work. For example, we talked about it last episode. Gore Verbinski did, where
Yeah.
he used the technology that he had in his hands to create a wonderful story, which is the kind of versatility I don't think James Cameron has as much.
Yeah. I mean, I think he does, but I think it has to do with what you just said, like the stubbornness. Like I want the technology to be a certain way,
Yeah.
But all right, sure. I mean,
I think
okay.
the only reason I have the first Avatar above this, the 2 and 3, is mostly because even if it isn't a template, it's better. I think the story, even though it's repetitive, it's better. Yeah.
All right. Number 2 was what?
Titanic.
Titanic. Yeah,
Yeah.
not my thing.
I don't know how. You love James Cameron.
I do love James Cameron, and I think it's a great script. I think the great story. It's a great visual spectacle as well because it's a great combination of real sets and really pushing the computer technology at the time. I mean, you watch it now and it feels real.
Yeah, I saw it
You know
for
what I
the
mean?
first time last month, and it's insane how this was made in 1987, I think. Yeah.
1995, 96.
Yeah. Released in 97.
Yeah, it came out late 97 and then as January rolled around of 98, it just got this like boom where people were watching it over and over and over and over.
And it won so many Oscars.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember that because I remember even hearing the Celine Dion voice song that has like become cliche at this point, but I'm like, that's gonna win the Oscar for best original song, And of course the music is amazing. It's James Horner. It's one of his last.
Yeah.
Well, not his last. I think Avatar is like one of his last, the first Avatar.
Yeah, it was one of his
You
last.
know, yeah, may he rest in peace. But like the music is great, the looks great. I don't know. It's like there's something about the characters that I just don't invest too much in them.
Mhm.
I can't because they do have great chemistry. Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio do, but I don't know what it is. It's just there's something like I don't care. That's the only way I can describe it. Um, yeah, yeah. I do love the one. There's this one moment that I actually there's two moments that I love. I love the moment where what's his name? Kate Winslet's fiance,
Yeah, let me see.
Billy something.
It is Billy Zane.
Billy Zane, yeah.
Yeah.
His performance is great. He comes off
He
as
is great. Yeah.
real dick, very elitist. And I was like, you did perfectly in that
Yeah.
role. You was perfectly hateable, in that kind of old money, snobbish type of character. I thought he did a great job in that.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where
classic.
he's like basically giving her a talking to,
Uh-huh.
where he's like throws the chair to the side and is like, like this is who you are.
Yeah.
This is where you need to be. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And then the other scene is when DiCaprio is going to sketch Kate Winslet's character because she's going to be naked and she's just going to be wearing the necklace. And it's a really funny moment because he says like, okay, yeah, just lay down on the bed. I mean the couch.
Yeah.
That was by accident.
Really?
It was a Freudian slip. In the script, it says lay down on the couch, and then he sees her naked, and then he makes that flub, but it works. It's like a natural moment, which I like. But it's like not a movie I'm gonna watch again. I think I only watched it once, 1.5 times, and then it's like, okay, good for you.
I think it's like you said, those two are they're really great together. I also love Kathy Bates. She doesn't have as much to do, but I just love Kathy Bates in general, and I think she's really great here. It's grand, sweeping, very like you said. The villain really is like he encompasses the movie because it's very classical. That's the classic type of villain you would see in that kind of history movie.
Yeah.
And it's obviously an epic. It's not like 3 hours and 10 minutes, something like that. Yeah, it moved me in a way that I don't think any other James Cameron movie did, not even Aliens.
Speaking of which, now Aliens is definitely one I saw on repeat, constantly growing up. Constantly, I saw that movie so much, and it really is like there's something about when James Cameron, at least at the time, when he approached the sequel. So when he did Aliens, and then we did Terminator 2, like he elevates the franchise with the second one, which unfortunately I don't think he did with Avatar, but it is what it is.
Most people do, apparently. I don't. Yeah.
But with Aliens, I think the approach to it, because in the first Aliens, which I think, you have seen it.
Yeah.
You're a Ridley Scott guy.
Yeah.
It's very much like Ellen Ripley. She's the reluctant hero. She's just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And then this time around, like she's just pissed. You know what I mean? And it's like it's a catharsis for her. It's like I've lived through this traumatic experience and I want closure. You know what I mean? And so I love Sigourney Weaver in that movie. The late great Bill Paxton as
that might be my favorite role of his.
Yeah. He's great in True Lies.
I haven't seen it.
He's so good in True Lies, man. He's a great character actor. I think, we really lost somebody special when he passed away. but just so many great lines like "Game over, man, game over." Like you have that, or like even like I'm gonna spoil it, but he does die. Um, but it's a heroic death, because he's such like overcome by fear, but now in this moment he's overcome his fear and is just kind of like being proactive with how he's going to feel about these fucking creatures,
Yeah.
and then he gets taken by them.
Hmm.
So I remember watching it the first time, and it was I was watching it with my brother, and my brother was just getting a kick out of Bill Paxton because there are some other movies that we could talk about at a different time that he made prior to that. So he was a big fan of Bill Paxton. And so when he is like just going off on the aliens, like he's getting a kick out of it. And then when the alien pops up from the bottom and takes him down, I just remember like my brother going, "Oh man," like that audible reaction to it. And I was like,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are you team Alien or Aliens?
Aliens.
Aliens, yeah, me too.
Aliens.
I just think the way James Cameron like directs the sci-fi world, he presses all the right sci-fi buttons to me as a sci-fi lover.
Yeah.
And some people say, "Oh, first movie, it's a horror, very tense, and this is an action spectacle." Yes, but I think this does the thrilling parts as well as Ridley Scott did. Like there's so many action set pieces where the center, the core of the action is the tension you feel because you care about Newt, because you care about Ripley, because you care about the characters, Bill Paxton, and that's just like using that kind of action spectacle in the sci-fi world to build such a cohesive movie, which follows up a previous movie so well. And the third act is insane. It's the peak of James Cameron to me is the third act of Aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, James Horner
Yes.
doing the music, it does feel like I always felt this, but I didn't know that like also James Horner felt this. Like he wishes he had a little bit more time. He was like really on a time crunch, on a very hard deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it fits with everything, I think there could have been some arrangements that could have been maybe simplified in some way, shape, or form, that would have like really, really, made it better and made those scenes and moments even more impactful. But I love like the percussion as Ripley is going down in the elevator and she's getting ready, to like go rescue Newt and kill whatever alien she encounters, like that's a great, like, kind of like that military march,
Yeah.
kind of music, so sonically it's like, it's really, really great, but it's just, it feels incomplete. And as somebody who knows nothing about how to compose music, I couldn't say what exactly should have been done. That's just the overall feeling I get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. It's not a bad list. I would definitely make some changes, but I'm all right with the number one. I definitely would have put Terminator 2 higher up. I probably would put it, if I was doing the top three, I would put Terminator 2, Aliens, and I'm not really sure. I think I probably I'm not sure. I gotta think about that one a little bit more.
Who will be last place, Titanic or one of the Avatars?
Yeah, definitely the Avatars.
Yeah.
I put all three Avatars like
Yeah.
on the same footing,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's everything else.
Yeah, and there's the ones that you haven't seen, The Abyss and True Lies, right?
Yeah. True Lies is probably his most fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's definitely something that you'll get a kick out of. Yeah.
All right.
We'll wrap it up from there, sir. You take it easy.
Thank you.
See the rest of you guys next time.
Yes.